So I, 27-year-old male, and my partner, 27-year-old female, have recently moved in together after dating for about a year and a half. We've been great for each other, spend plenty of time together, and have a healthy relationship by all normal metrics. Before we moved in together, I lived with my parents, and she lived with her sister, 36-year-old female, and her family, who are the only family members she had in Perth. Her previous relationship lasted 6 years, and she broke up with that guy, 33-year-old male, around 4 months before we started dating, roughly. He hadn't been a problem, as part of the reason they broke up is he did not want to move to Australia with her, which is where we live now. They were originally from the UK. We moved on with our life together and have been doing well. I met her sister's family, spent a lot of time over there, and made plenty of effort to become part of their family. I babysat her sister's kids, painted several rooms in their house, mounted a television to the wall, given people in the family rides here and there, and it was mostly going very well. Then lately it's suddenly flipped. Suddenly I've become seen as a far inferior product to the ex. I guess he must have been really close with the family back in the UK, and they must have stayed in touch. He tried reaching out to my girlfriend a few times to reconcile and get back together, saying he was now willing to move to Australia, but she politely shut it down quickly each time, communicating she'd moved on. The family knew that very well too, but he was trying to talk to her through them as she would largely ignore him unless it was something to do with previous finances, etc. My girlfriend has kept that open and honest with me. Well, my girlfriend and I traveled to India for a friend's wedding over Christmas. From the 18th to the 31st-ish, and guess who that sister invited to stay over at their house in Australia for Christmas? The ex. Initially, it exactly lined up on those dates that we would be gone. Now I know what you're thinking. Their house, they can be friends with whoever they want, etc. Yeah, I know. But it was very inconsiderate of my girlfriend's feelings, who made it clear that it upset her, and they went ahead with it anyway. And even though it wasn't about me in any way, it did feel in spite of me. Anyway, here's the kicker. The guy didn't leave Australia on the 31st. He just moved to a hotel, in hope of a last-ditch attempt to win her over, likely egged on by my girlfriend's sister. We went to their house on the 31st on New Year's Eve for a party, but left early at around 11 because we were exhausted from the travel. The ex was promptly invited over as soon as we left. Sure enough, he tried his romantic comedy-style last-ditch attempt and texted my girlfriend a long paragraph asking to meet up so they could talk. She requested for him not to contact her again, wished him well, and deleted his number. The sister and her husband said that him staying in Australia for longer was not planned and just happened, and that they had no idea what would happen. But come on, Stevie Wonder could have seen that coming. My girlfriend's other sister, 41-year-old female, and her husband also came from the UK separately to visit. They hadn't met me before. We had a chat, and basically said, "You seem okay, but we were supposed to hate you," as if it had been communicated to them. For the record, as much as my word for it doesn't mean much because I'm clearly biased, I cannot say I've done anything to wrong the 36-year-old female sister's family. I've really tried for them. Sure, I'm not the most sociable guy all the time, and I'm a lot more quiet than they are. They're a loud, chatty family. But I've been very careful over the last 18 months to not be rude and to show effort. To me, it seems like a highly orchestrated effort to undermine mine and my girlfriend's future in favor of the ex, and then to hide it from me. I only know what I do because my girlfriend has been communicating as it happens, and the older sister has mentioned a few things while drunk. It strikes me as cowardly behavior from the ex, too. He knows my girlfriend is dating again and didn't want him back, yet flew from the UK all the way here, and then proceeds to only show up at the middle sister's house only when I'm not there. Personally, and this may be the confrontational former United States Marine in me speaking, if it was me, I'd tell my girlfriend how I felt about her in front of a prime Mike Tyson that disagreed. And I'm not that big nor scary. I want to keep my girlfriend. I love her. And this incident has shown that she's communicative and faithful and has truly chosen to be with me. Yet, With how much she loves her family, I need advice on how to best proceed to build that future together. I've broken down in tears at how rejected and betrayed her sister's family made me feel, and I do not want to continue to feel like this. How do I show up at family events? I'm not a very good actor. Now for an update. So I drafted this a few days ago, and since then my girlfriend has done what most people are suggesting. She's communicated to that family that after her mother and other sister plus husband return to the UK, she will no longer be spending time with them, except for things like kids' birthdays and Christmas. Her mother has aggressively chewed out both the middle sister and her husband, and has made it clear that she supports me 100%. The other sister thankfully seems to have decided to think for herself and given me a chance, and now seems to love me too. It has become apparent that this was the machinations of the middle sister's husband, and she's sort of just had to go along with it. The middle sister has accepted an invite to my family home for dinner with everyone else, and seems somewhat embarrassed after discovering that my family are actually all nice people and I have good roots. She must know that I know, but doesn't want to talk to me about it and won't ever apologize. The negative updates. The husband has refused to quit. He told other friends of his to try and get under my skin so that I'd snap and look like a villain, which culminated in a friend of his hiding my military ring somewhere, leaving my girlfriend to chase it down. It was essentially an attempt to provoke violence from me. The second and more egregious thing is he's told all the family and friends on their side that I faked my military service, as according to his research, there's no way I could have enlisted with a missing finger, ignoring the fact that it's partial of my ring finger and the waiver system exists in the United States. The family don't believe him, as I have stacks and stacks of proof, but I can tell others do. Also, every time I show up at a family gathering in the backyard, he retreats inside and hasn't said a word to me or made eye contact. He hasn't shown up to anything where I'm around, even my dad's invite, and if I'm around, he quickly goes away. My girlfriend's mother publicly called him worthless the other day for a combination of that, plus he really doesn't help the middle sister with the kids or anything else. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. OP. It's time to sit down and have a serious talk with your girlfriend. Ask her what kind of support she needs from you during all of this conflict. She matters. They don't. She may choose to go no contact with them until they stop this nonsense of trying to force her and her ex back together. If she makes this choice, do not contradict her and tell her not to do that. She is making a choice publicly and definitively that you are who she wants to be with, and they can either get on board or she will cut them off. It's her choice to make, not yours. If she loves you, wants to be with you, sees a future with you, and you make her happy, then let her handle her family the way she sees fit and support her and have her back. She knows them better than you do. Also, stop trying to make them like you. I bet you are a wonderful guy just as you are, or she wouldn't be with you and wouldn't be fighting for you. So stop, and just be the guy she fell in love with. That is all you need to be. Catering to her family and trying too hard won't make a difference to them and will just make them try to use you more and put you down. Focus on her, not them. Stay out of it unless she asks you to get involved. Good luck, OP. We are on your side. Comment 2. She broke up with her ex for a reason, and she has solidified this by telling him not to contact her. Blocking him, rather than deleting his number, may be more effective, as then he cannot call her. Blocking him on all social media would work better too. Her family is despicable for continuing this relationship with her ex, especially facilitating his trip to Australia, and for her other sister to be under the impression that you are not to be liked. You and your girlfriend are a team. She needs to call out her family's behavior and advise them it has to stop right now, and be prepared to go no contact or low contact unless it does. She is the only one who can shut down their behavior. You both deserve far better. It's astounding that her family believes it's acceptable to behave like this. They should be ashamed. I wish you both well, and that this isn't affecting you at a time that should be joyful as you start living together. You've got this. Now for the update. A few weeks later, Mia and I went to her sister's house for a family birthday party for her niece. The vibe was off. It was like everyone was ignoring the obvious problem. And that problem? Mia's ex. He was just hanging around, making these weird jokes that no one else was laughing at, but he was clearly trying to get attention. Mia's sister even invited him to say a few words, and I was just cringing the whole time. Like, how could she not see how awkward this was for everyone, especially for Mia and me? When it was time to cut the cake, the ex made this joke about missing Mia and wishing they could reconnect. Seriously? It was so uncomfortable. Everyone was laughing, but it felt forced. Mia told him to knock it off, and he just kept going, saying it was all in good fun. I couldn't take it anymore. I confronted him, calling his comments disrespectful. He rolled his eyes, called me insecure, and then his wife laughed at his comment, acting like I was the problem. I felt so isolated at that moment. After the party, Mia was furious. She couldn't believe her family was letting her ex act like that. We decided we needed to host a dinner at our place to set some boundaries with her family. We invited her parents and siblings, hoping to talk about everything that had been going on. During dinner, her middle sister's husband started making these sly remarks about my career, trying to get a rise out of me. I just calmly pointed out how unnecessary it was, and it led to a huge argument between Mia and her sister. Her parents tried to mediate, but it just got worse, and her middle sister ended up storming out. After that, we decided to take a break from family gatherings. We needed to focus on us for a while. A week later, we ran into the ex at a coffee shop while we were out. He came over, acting all friendly, making these veiled comments about missing Mia. I kept my cool but felt the urge to stand my ground, like, dude, we're happy without you. Mia suggested we leave because she was uncomfortable, but the ex just kept pushing. It made everything worse between us. After we left, Mia was just as frustrated as I was. She wanted to know why her family was putting up with his behavior. I suggested we confront the family again. We needed to get this sorted out once and for all. We planned a family brunch at a local diner to talk about everything openly. At the brunch, Mia's mom showed support for us, which created a bit of a rift with her middle sister. The middle sister tried to undermine me, bringing up past mistakes, but Mia had my back and defended me. The whole brunch left me feeling even more frustrated. The drama just kept going. Days later, I saw a post on social media from the ex. He shared a photo from a recent get-together with Mia's family, and the caption was all about how close they were. I was so mad. I decided I needed to confront her family one last time, demanding transparency about how they felt about the ex. At a family dinner for her dad's retirement, I brought up the social media post. The ex was there, trying to play it cool, but I called him out for his behavior and the mixed signals. Mia's parents had my back, which led to a huge argument with her middle sister. The ex tried to play the victim, but Mia finally took my side. She expressed how fed up she was with her family's treatment of me. It felt like we were finally a united front against the rest of her family. In a final act of defiance, Mia announced we would be taking a big break from her family gatherings. We needed to prioritize us. A week later, I got a message from the ex, trying to provoke me again, claiming he missed Mia. I decided to ignore it, but told Mia, and she was furious, wanting to block him. I felt empowered. I had taken a stand, and I decided to send a message to the ex saying, "You're not welcome here anymore." We were moving forward, and we planned a trip together. It felt like a new chapter, and I was ready for it. To answer a few questions, Mia's family initially invited the ex, not realizing the tension. The ex's behavior surprised us. Am I the idiot for wanting to leave my girlfriend after her stroke left me feeling like a caregiver instead of a partner? I, a 36-year-old man, have a girlfriend, a 32-year-old woman. We started dating a year ago, and in June, she had a cerebellar stroke. She almost died, went through emergency surgery, stayed almost a month in the intensive care unit, but survived. Since she left the hospital, shortly after leaving the intensive care unit, she has been working on rehabilitation. It turns out she was left with very poor coordination, walking, texting, writing, and so on, and very poor ability to talk and swallow as well. Since then, she's been doing physical therapy, speech therapy, going to a therapist, and meeting up with her neurologist. It turns out she has a spontaneous artery dissection that led to the stroke. Anyway, it has been about 6.5 months now, and she is still working on rehabilitation. Even though she has made progress, she is still far from full recovery. She can walk, but she won't go far and she won't be fast. She can eat and drink, but sometimes she coughs. She can talk and text, but it usually takes her a long time to say just a few words. The worst part is that she only wants to sleep and eat candies. Every day we, myself and her family, have to kind of force her to do necessary things like taking a shower, brushing her teeth, eating healthy, and doing rehabilitation. Her practice outside of the rehabilitation sessions is almost none. Here comes the issue. I care for her. I love her, and we had plans of starting a family and having children. She already has 2 from her previous marriage, and I have none before this happened. But now, to me, it seems like those plans are quite far away, and I don't feel it will be possible anytime soon. In the beginning, I was more than happy just for her being alive. Now, I miss being in a relationship. I miss going out on dates, having conversations, sharing intimate moments, and going to the park, doing things that couples do. Now I often feel like a single person. She doesn't want to do anything. Of course, I am not expecting her to do things that are quite difficult physiologically, but I want to have the bare minimum of a relationship. Plus, the fact that she had a stroke creates a very dark scenario for a future pregnancy. It would be risky because of the medication she has been on. Also, there are the hormonal changes. And how would she walk, combining her poor coordination now with a baby in her belly? How would she maintain a healthy diet for herself and the baby if she does not want to? How would we raise the children if she is not even raising her 2 kids now, with her family helping her at the moment? I feel like if I stay by her side, I would be giving up on all my dreams of having a family, a romantic relationship, and all the other perks. Nowadays, I feel more like a caregiver than a boyfriend. I know she loves me back, but I don't feel loved. I don't experience all those things we usually have in a relationship. I see other couples doing things together, and I cannot help but envy them. We talked about this, how I am sad about not experiencing a relationship at the moment, twice, but it seems it didn't change much. I guess the worst part for me is knowing that there is nothing I can do to help her improve. I mean, if she were able to achieve full recovery, it would depend on her efforts. Last week, her physical therapist told her that if she doesn't put in the work, she will end up losing her gains and regressing. Every day now, I cry alone at night, thinking about our current situation and our future. I love her and want to stay with her. On the other hand, I want to have a relationship filled with joy. I want to start a family, have kids, raise them, go on family trips, and all those things. I cry because I want to have both without having to choose. Sometimes I think about breaking up, but I feel guilty about doing so with her. It's not her fault that she had a stroke. She had a healthy lifestyle before. It's not like she cheated on me or doesn't want me anymore. I've seen some stories of people who went through something similar and ended up breaking up. At first, I thought to myself, how could they do this? But now I see this as a possibility. Although I have to be honest, it scares me. I don't know if I would be able to bear the guilt of doing it or seeing her sad because of it. I don't know if I would be able to find someone new like her. I am also afraid of what other people would think of all of this. Would they judge me? I've always tried to be a good person, and now I feel like I have to choose between pursuing my dreams or staying and being a good boyfriend for her. I always had this vision that a couple has to stay together in health and sickness, but now I feel like I would be giving up on my mental health by doing so. Almost forgot, I'm sorry for the long post. I know that I don't really have a clear question for you all. I'm not even sure of what to ask you. I just needed to vent and get this off my chest. I feel like I couldn't talk to anyone close to us about this. It feels wrong to feel all of this, and I would be ashamed to talk about it with someone close to me. Thank you for your attention. I hope I can find my path soon. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. We talked about this. How am I sad about not experiencing a relationship at the moment twice, but it seems it didn't change much? What did you expect to change? You understand she's disabled, right? It's not like she's choosing not to be healthy. This is something that happened to her. Having a disability and a chronic illness is rough. Sometimes we have to take breaks when seeking health care, just because that itself starts to feel like a full-time job. And if disabled people could have full-time jobs, they would. Have you ever had burnout at your job? It sounds like she has some physical therapy burnout. There's probably depression too. Could you blame her? I don't think anyone is going to think poorly of you if you don't want to give up the rest of your life to be a caregiver. Maybe if she didn't have you, she would have to work harder at physical therapy because there's nobody to lean on. At least she wouldn't be made to feel like a bad person because she doesn't want to go out and be social all the time. Comment 2. The woman you loved almost died and has been in recovery for less than a year, and all your post is about is me, me, me. Jesus Christ, man, you weren't even married. You had been together only for a year. Kids weren't going to happen anytime soon, anyway. If you only need a vessel for a baby in your life so that you can experience a picturesque family, you honestly don't deserve anyone in your life. How could you have all these dreams about commitment, and now that there is an emergency and your commitment is being tested, you can't even wait a year? What if your future hypothetical kids come out with special needs more serious than what your girlfriend is going through? Will you bail and cry about me, me, me again? Maybe stop living in your dream world and realize that the things you want come with huge responsibilities, such as sticking with your partner even if they become temporarily disabled. Now, for the update. It's been like 3 weeks since my last update, and honestly, things have changed again. Olivia had a follow-up appointment with her rehab specialist, and the doctor actually praised her for some progress. Like, she finally started to sound a little bit more like the old her, but then he stressed the need for more effort, and that's when Olivia kind of got all huffy. She seemed annoyed by the doctor's comments and just brushed them off like they were nothing. You could tell she was in a mood, but I didn't want to push it, so I suggested we work on her exercises together at home. She agreed. But come on, we all know how it goes. More often than not, she would distract herself with TV instead of actually doing the exercises. It's like, I get it, you're tired, but we can't just sit around watching Netflix all the time. My parents invited us to their house for a weekend barbecue, and I thought it might be a good change of scenery for both of us. My mom made her famous ribs, and my dad was super excited to show off his new grill. At the barbecue, everything was fine for the most part. Then my dad casually brought up family plans and asked if we were thinking of kids. Everyone laughed and joked around, but I noticed Olivia went quiet and just stared at her plate. I tried to lighten the mood by suggesting we get a dog first since we both love dogs. But Olivia, out of nowhere, responded with this sharp comment about how we can't even handle her recovery, let alone a pet. It was kind of awkward after that, but my sister Kate suggested a family game to get everyone involved. Olivia declined to participate and just stayed quiet. As the evening went on, I noticed she was isolating herself, sitting alone on the porch. I went out to talk to her, and she just snapped that she needed space. I get that she wanted to be alone, but it was kind of upsetting that she couldn't even talk to me. My brother Jake, who had been pretty quiet the whole time, pulled me aside and asked if everything was okay. I just shrugged and said things were complicated because honestly, what else could I say? A week later, Olivia's best friend came over to visit. I didn't really know what they talked about because I was in another room, but they had a long conversation in the living room that I couldn't hear. After her friend left, Olivia seemed more withdrawn than usual. I asked her if everything was all right, and she snapped that it was none of my business. I was frustrated, but also understood that she was going through a lot, so I decided to talk to my mom about it. My mom mentioned she had noticed Olivia's change in mood and thought it was good that I brought it up. She suggested having a heart-to-heart conversation, but I wasn't really sure how to approach it without Olivia shutting down. I tried talking to Olivia again later that week, but she just stared at her phone and didn't respond. I decided to take a break for a bit and went out with Jake for drinks. We had a good time, and it was nice to just relax for a change. Then, During our outing, I got a text from Olivia saying she was tired of trying. That text hit hard, and I hurried home. When I got there, she was already in bed and refused to talk. It was like she was shutting me out completely, and I didn't know what to do anymore. The next day, my parents invited us to a family dinner. Olivia seemed distant and barely spoke the entire time. My dad asked her about her recovery, and she just snapped that it was a slow process. The tension in the room went up, and then suddenly, everyone fell silent. I excused myself to the kitchen to cool off a bit. After dinner, I confronted Olivia about her attitude. She broke down and mentioned she felt like a burden and just couldn't cope with the pressure. It was heartbreaking to hear her say that, but I didn't know how to help her feel different. I suggested we seek help together, but she flat out refused. I get that she's going through a lot, but we can't just keep ignoring this. It's affecting her, and it's affecting us. Mini update. Olivia's friend talked to her about the possibility of ending our relationship. Olivia didn't tell me this, but I found out from my mom. My mom expressed concerns about Olivia's behavior and suggested that we both go to therapy. I was hesitant, but we both agreed to try it together. Am I the idiot for being called a princess by my husband when I tried to help shovel snow? My husband, who is 48 years old, and I, who am 47 years old, mostly have a good relationship. We don't have kids, we both have good jobs and travel often. I just can't figure out this one thing that really upsets me. Literally, whenever we argue or fight, it is always him getting mad at me for something he thinks I've done or not done. Sure, I get angry and upset with him, but my nature is not to fight. I work it out in my head or think about the situation and try to give him some grace. Of course, I'm not perfect, but mostly I try to work through it rather than confront him about most of it because I don't find it helpful. All that to say, yes, he has faults and I get angry, but I'm not constantly confronting him about it and getting into arguments. He, on the other hand, does not do that, which makes it seem like the only time we actually argue is when he is telling me something I've done wrong or something I've done to upset him. I don't even know if that makes any sense, but it is starting to wear on me. I feel like he's always pointing out things I've messed up or things he's perceived that I've done to him. For example, recently we had some snowfall that required a little bit of shoveling. He got dressed and ready to go out and shovel without saying anything to me. So I also got dressed and went out. He was already shoveling when I got outside and asked him how I could help, and he got immediately angry with me, saying that I should have already been doing something and not waiting for him to come out and do it. That I should have anticipated shoveling, and that I only came out after I saw him getting dressed. That I never anticipate things, and I think I'm a princess who doesn't have to do anything. I replied that I absolutely do not think I am a princess, and that everything has to be done for me, that I was there helping him. He kept going on and on about how I don't ever anticipate things and do things to help him out, which upset me because I do a lot of things that I consider helping him out, like cleaning the house, doing laundry, grocery shopping, and so on. I asked him if he ever anticipated vacuuming or doing a load of laundry to help me out. That I do plenty of things that I would love help with, but I decide not to get angry about it or say anything because it's not productive. That may have been a low blow, but I was upset. I just feel like there are times when I could lash out and get mad at him for the exact same reason. But I don't because he is a person who has flaws. And getting mad at someone for not anticipating needing help with something is ridiculous to me. So, the result of me not ever really getting angry is that he is allowed to get angry and ridicule me, and literally every argument we have is him lashing out at me for something. It's exhausting and I don't know what to do. How can I fix this? I am open to that, but I have no clue how to go about fixing it if so. I don't even know where to start. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. This is typical narcissistic behavior. In his eyes, you do everything wrong, and he does nothing wrong at all. He is wrong. It's manipulation. He's now making you question your sanity. He's gaslighting you, Han. He's trying to teach you to do things his way, or in his favor. You should have been out there shoveling snow? No, darling. I'll bet you do all the housework. Your husband can shovel the snow a few times each winter. And let's be clear about one more thing. He lacks communication. He expected you to either read his mind or get up and do that chore yourself by default. He sounds like a massive pig. Comment 2. He's the princess. I'm embarrassed for him. He's acting all wounded because you didn't help or start helping before he did. Does that mean he was waiting to see if you would start before he did? This is the behavior of a petulant child. People in successful relationships do not test each other. It's toxic as hell and unhelpful to expect somebody to pass a test they don't know they're taking. A grown-up would have said, "Are you ready to tackle the snow? Do you want a shovel or use the snowblower?" Do you see how easy that was? He's spoiling for a fight. Now for the update. I'm back with an update on my post about how my husband lashes out after arguments. Thanks for all the advice on how to fix the issues between us. I actually tried to talk to him about our communication issues a couple of days after our argument over shoveling. That day we were having dinner at our kitchen table. I was hoping for a nice, calm discussion about things. I was feeling pretty confident. Bad idea. The minute I brought it up, he got defensive. He started insisting that he works hard and doesn't need to be criticized. He accused me of always playing the victim, and that made things worse. We ended up raising our voices and he stormed out, saying he needed some space. So yeah, that conversation didn't go too well. I figured maybe some time apart would help us cool off. The next day, I got a text from my mom inviting us to a family gathering at my parents' place for the weekend. I told my husband about the invite and he agreed to go, but honestly, he seemed pretty distant and preoccupied on the drive over. When we arrived at my parents' house, I was so happy to see my family. They were all cheerful, sharing stories and laughing, but it was just hard for me to get into the spirit of things. You know, having issues with your spouse really puts a damper on things. So my brother was there too, and he brought up a recent vacation they took. It was supposed to be a fun conversation, but my husband made a snide comment about how he never gets a break, and it just added to my unease. I finally decided to step outside for some fresh air to get away from all the tension. My sister-in-law followed me outside. She could tell something was off, and we had a quick chat. She mentioned that my brother is also dealing with stress and hinted at how relationships can be tough. When we went back inside, my husband was whispering to my brother, and it made me feel uneasy. During dessert, I tried to share something, but my husband made a joke about me being too sensitive. That really hurt. After dinner, we all helped clean up, but there was just so much tension in the air. My husband avoided eye contact, focusing on washing the dishes while I dried. As we were leaving, my mom asked if we were okay, and that led to an awkward silence. On the drive home, I broke the silence and asked my husband what he whispered to my brother. He brushed it off, saying it was nothing important, and that raised my suspicion. Once we got home, I confronted him again, this time about the lack of support I feel. He accused me of bringing up irrelevant issues instead of focusing on the positive aspects of our life. We started arguing again, and I finally snapped, expressing my exhaustion with always being blamed. In a fit of anger, he stormed out, saying he needs a break from my negativity. He was gone for a few days and then came back home late one night after a work event. I noticed a new, unfamiliar perfume scent on his clothes when he walked in. I confronted him about it, and he brushed it off, claiming it was nothing to worry about. The tension rose again, and I felt the urge to dig deeper, but I refrained. We then had a calm discussion about our relationship, but the underlying issues are still not resolved. He surprised me by suggesting that we should consider couples counseling. I agreed, seeing it as a way to address our ongoing conflicts. He mentioned he might need some time to fully commit to the idea of counseling. So that's where we are now. We decided to give each other some space to think about it before moving on to the next step. I really hope we can work things out because I'm tired of feeling like I'm the only one trying. Edit. After the post, a lot of people were curious about how long this has been going on. I realized that we have been having communication problems for a few years now, and I guess I had just gotten used to it. Some also asked about what the couple's therapy would involve. I really have no idea, but I hope it will help us understand each other better. I will definitely keep everyone updated on how things go for us. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.